If you're looking for options in synthetic motorcycle engine oils, then it becomes really hard to ignore the Motul 7100. It's retailing in the country for more than a decade, and I know a lot of us have experienced this engine oil sometime or the other. So it almost became obligatory for me to save up and spend on this project. This lab test analysis video is going to become more interesting, as unlike previous lab test videos, this one was done after using this engine oil for 5000 km in an air-cooled engine. Last time I did update about the drop in the oil level at 1500 km mark. Surprisingly, a lot of you guys commented with similar experience with the 7100. Although this was new for me, as the 7100 did not show any drop in oil level in my RTR 200 for my Pune-Indore Ujjain ride. Similarly, the Dominar did the Rajasthan ride on the 7100 10W50 with no sign of oil level drop. So is there anything wrong with this oil's performance or formulation? Well, this lab test result should clear things up. We will begin with the kinematic viscosity, where viscosity is the resistance of a fluid to flow. So after 5000 km of daily commute, the kinematic viscosity at 40 degrees Celsius has dropped from 88.8 mm² per second to 56.60 mm² per second. That's a significant drop, but I was more concerned for the kinematic viscosity at 100 degrees Celsius, where it dropped from 13.5 mm² per second to 9.707 mm² per second. I would say even after 5000 km, it has retained well, but has come close to the 9 mm² per second mark, which can be alarming even for a 10W30 grade user. Next we have the flash point, where it dropped from 236 degrees Celsius to 180 degrees Celsius. This was expected with all the running, which cracks down the oil, resulting in lower flash point. Moving ahead, we have TBN, which is a critical parameter. Total base number is the alkaline reserve of the engine oil, which neutralizes the acidic environment and hence protects the engine. To begin with, we had a decent TBN of 8.4, and surprisingly, it has held up really well at 6.5, which is a good news for the engine. Next we have the elemental analysis, which helps in decoding the oil's performance and formulation. We will start with the wear metal analysis, where iron forms the major composition in different components. At 22 parts per million, it's way under the limit. The same applies to aluminium at 12.8 parts per million. Chromium showed negligible presence, which is a good news for all the bearings and surface coats. Copper came out at 21.4 parts per million, which is acceptable, while lead showed almost no presence. So all in all, we can say the 7100 has done a good job in protecting the engine during the commutes. Coming to the contaminants, silicon showed its presence at 8.4 parts per million, while sodium at 6.4 parts per million. If we compare them to our previous lab tests, then I would report them as higher than what we usually get. Of course, these numbers are not alarming high, but lower contaminants are better for the engine. Stepping ahead to my favorite part, where we will discuss additive elements. We will begin with the detergents and dispersants, which helps in keeping the engine clean. Calcium and magnesium are the cleaning duo here. Calcium came out at 2473.3 parts per million, while magnesium came out at 20.5 parts per million. These are some really good numbers, especially for a calcium-based detergent formulation. Adding to the cleanliness and anti-corrosion property, we have boron at 19.4 parts per million, which is just average. Next we have zinc, which plays an important role with its anti-wear and anti-corrosion properties. At 1286.6 parts per million, Motul has been generous with zinc-based additives. Moving ahead, we have phosphorus for its anti-wear property and ability to perform as an extreme pressure additive. At 1103.2 parts per million, phosphorus is present in abundance. We also found molybdenum at 37.9 parts per million, which helps in reducing friction. The additive package makes a strong case for this engine oil. If you ask what's wrong with this engine oil, then with our past experience, we might question its volatility. But on the other hand, this oil has certainly gone overboard with its anti-wear formulation, which should be a relief for the users. All of this naturally brings us to the other two established competition in this segment. Let me know if you want a comparison video on the same. So that's it for this video, and I hope you guys have liked it.